We're going to open our meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here in our December 10th planning meeting. Terry, can I ask you to do our invocation and lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for this day and this life you've given us. We pray for our town and we pray for the citizens of it. And we ask that you guide us, that all we do here tonight is for the good of both. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, will you conduct a roll call, please?
Mark Braga.
Here.
Rich Hall.
Here.
Kyle Merritt. Here. Terrence Strucker.
Here.
Tim Sloan.
Mr. Sloan
I
is
don't
here.
ever say I'm here.
Well,
That way he can deny it.
congratulations, we have a new one. You are present.
Normally, we would move on then to approval of the minutes, but we've been a little shorthanded. Our new clerk this is her first day, so I would anticipate that our next meeting will get a slurry of previous minutes to review before we move on. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here and for your interest in what goes on in our city. Today, we're going to be reviewing two parcel combinations, one parcel split, an application for a new hotel here in Parker, and then we'll be holding a public hearing on a potential variance request for a new drive-through coffee business. During the public hearing, we'll be swearing in the applicant, and then any audience member that wishes to submit their thoughts or questions will also be sworn in. Then we're going to wrap up with completing our annual review of our comprehensive plan. Our council members request that we do that, and today we should wrap up that task. I also wanted to take just a moment to welcome our new city clerk, Ingrid Bundy. This is her first day on the job. We're darn glad that she's here. Thank you. At this time, anything that is any audience member that would like to address these commissioners regarding anything that is not currently on the agenda. Is there anybody that would like to come up and speak? Hi. Would you state your name, sir?
My name's Dave Whaley.
Mr. Whaley.
Here,
Dave Whaley.
and I appeared before the committee on September the 10th.
Yes, sir. I remember you.
Discussed the situation that I was trying to resolve with everyone. We came to a unanimous decision, and then it was sent off to Anchor, and apparently they don't have representation. They don't monitor the recommendations of the committee or what have you, and they came to something completely different. My issue is that I have a conforming lot that has a single-family home on it that I want to demolish because it's terribly damaged and it's, for all intents and purposes, unlivable, and to put a new home onto that property. I think that meets the intent of what Parker wants to do. I'm going to take out one single-family home and put one new one that is much more functional on a conforming lot.
Mhm.
The question or the issue that Anchor had is that the lot is actually attached to a parcel, and there are non-conforming properties on the parcel other lot. But, and Mr. Sloan addressed this, that as long as that lot is legally
If that
defined,
parcel, I remember you, Mr. Whaley. So you had a parcel of property that had been legally separated into various lots, and then you wanted to build a single-family home on one of those lots, and that it didn't exceed any of the density rules, or didn't exceed the minimum 7,500 feet. Is that right?
that's correct.
So
If
what
we're
was
correct.
Anchor's issue?
Anchor's issue is that, well, that it throws the entire property into the non-conforming exemption would be lost by me. And they have several reasons. The size of the footprint, which if we are looking at the lot that is legally defined, that I have the warranty deed for, and I have a survey for, and I have a site plan for that meets all the requirements and all the LDRs, they want the entire parcel to have a site plan, and a
But the-
survey and a drainage and an engineering and basically to lose the exemption, which would mean that, I can't
But
move
I
forward.
didn't, I
can't.
didn't remember you needing an exemption because I thought you had a parcel of land that was legally segregated into lots.
It is.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
On
that
one
single,
parcel identification number though.
oh,
And there are existing mobile homes on that parcel.
okay,
I've talked briefly with Anchor, so
okay.
I don't think this body should make any final decisions based upon
Yeah.
the limited discussion here. I think you need to hear from Anchor and
We
hear,
did.
or
We did. Anchor responded with a multitude of issues that we resolved every one of them in this meeting with a unanimous decision, and I do have the legal, I do own that lot legally. I have the warranty deed. I have
I'm
the
not just
survey.
doubting
It's-
whether you have a warranty deed, sir.
we-
The
when
only
you
thing
say
I can tell.
legally, that, the parcel ID number separately, I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't think that's the way to go. I think that, I mean, if the committee forces that on me, I will do it, but under the, the agreement that.
Mr. Whaley, why don't we do this?
I don't trust Parker,
'Cause it-
to not try to take away my
Yeah.
exemption because I can't
Yeah.
develop the whole thing at once.
Yeah, let me do this. I remember that because we had asked if it had been legally separated into
Yeah.
lots, and the answer was yes.
Yes.
Let me do this. Tomorrow morning, I'll come into City Hall, and I will ask for Anchor's responses to what was going on, because I remember, you're right, we voted unanimously based on the information we
They
had.
don't even recognize the lots. They only speak to the parcel. They don't even recognize that Parker has subdivided these into lots.
Yeah.
So they're completely missing the whole discussion. They weren't here, and,
Yeah, I remember what you wanted to do. And we had asked, had it been legally separated? Your answer was yes, and that should have allowed you to move forward. But let me, before I say anything, let me go ahead and find out what their beef is. And also speak with Mr. Sloan about what limitations or what other options may be. And then let us get back to you, because I need to be able to see a survey. I need to be able to.
Right here, and I've supplied it, and we went over that at the last meeting. I agree. I would like an answer, and I don't want to pressure you right
Yeah.
now, but I got August 5th, I got the demo permit.
Tomorrow morning, I'll come into
September
City Hall
10th,
and meet with our new clerk. And is that paperwork you have in your hand, can we have some of that? Is that duplicates by any chance? Because I'd have to go back 3 or 4 months or whatever that came before us and grab it. And if it's the same, I'll do that.
I gave Donna the large copy, but I can have some more made and sent, and dropped off to you.
Tomorrow morning, that would be
Yes, sir.
great. And what we'll do is we'll get together, figure out what's going on with this, and then that way, because that way we could surgically take a look at what their issue is and see if we can get it sorted
It
out.
does say at the bottom of their recommendation that the decision is up to you, to the city.
Well, it's actually up to the council
To the city
members.
council.
Yeah, we're not the governing body,
understand.
but they do look at, because we're the techie guys that kind of review the details.
Right. In effect, what this looks like to me is Anchor saying that they know the LDRs better than we do. And I don't, I disagree. And I'll be glad to go through it point by point, but I appreciate you looking into it.
We will, and I'll make a point to come here tomorrow morning and then sit down with our new clerk. If you don't mind dropping off whatever packet you've got.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll have the advantage of being able to look at details and see what's up, and then we'll contact Anchor and see if we can work through it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Whaley. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Rito, what's the address again? When I want to.
Mr. Whaley, would you give her the address, please?
108 Blackshear.
108, thank you.
That's a new address that we voted on the last time, because of the way that the house will be situated, it needed to change addresses from 41 Wood to 108
Very good.
Township.
Thank you, Mr. Whaley.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Once again, anything not on the current agenda? Very good. Okay, let's get to our first item on the menu here then today. This was an application for a partial accommodation 101 and 103 Morris Drive. Is it Miss Wilkins?
Yes.
Miss Wilkins, nice to see you again. And I have to apologize to you. We were trying to put together a special meeting so that you didn't have to wait a whole nother month. So thank you for your patience. We had a couple of illnesses within the group and some issues with regard to low staff members at City Hall. So thank you for your patience. So would you just sort of remind everybody what we're trying to do here?
Oh, okay. So I had bought 101 and 103, and 103, the way that the lot is shaped, it's kind of, it outlines 101 in an L shape. So it's really not buildable. My original idea was just to buy 103, but I realized I couldn't do anything with it, not even pull a tiny home on it because of the setbacks. So I bought both lots. There's a home on 101, and then I want to combine 103 and just make it one address, one parcel.
Very good. So that was, you just simply wanted to combine parcel A with parcel B, parcel A being about shy of a quarter acre, and then parcel B being probably about a tenth of an acre. Is that about right?
I'm not sure on that survey. Parcel A and B, I think, are part of 103. I don't know why it's segregated like that. Can I walk up to you? and
Please.
point that out?
Yeah, come and
Okay.
take a peek.
All right. All right,
Where are we
so-
looking here?
So this is the parcel that I live on.
Okay.
This outline.
And that you want
This
to,
is the weirdly shaped excess, and this go together.
so which one do we want to
We
add
want
to?
to put this. We want to put all of it together, actually.
Including this here?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so,
this is B2. B1 and B2 are 103 Morris. Parcel A is 101 that I live on now.
okay.
So I don't know why there's a B1 and a B2 for that address, but
Okay. So is B2 a separate parcel from B1?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
when
Well, there
I look
would-
them up on the Bay County property appraisers, this has one description and this has another. So B1 and B2 both have the same description.
Mr. Sloan, this is what we're looking at here. So originally, we were thinking it would be this one added to this one, and she is identifying that it would be, this would be added and this would be added. And it would be all still face Morris Drive?
Correct.
So if you combine, so what's the purpose of combining
Well,
those other two lots?
These other two lots are not in any way buildable, based on their square footage and the setbacks that I could figure.
Okay?
So,
Well,
so this one, when they separated out this lot from these, they kind of took the
If-
cream of the crop here, and then they just kind of left some oddly shaped
But if you
lot.
combine these two, would you not have enough to build on?
No, this is the same address, and it's all one, property description, and that's what I was originally going to buy, and then I came here and talked to, see what the limitations to build was, and they said, no, that's a really odd shaped lot, and because of the setbacks, you wouldn't be able to build on that lot.
If you combine it, this is low density residential, is that right? I think
It's
it is.
residential.
Yeah, resident,
Yes.
okay. Just be aware, if they are all combined and there is a house here right now, if your intent was to build another residence on
No,
here, okay.
it's not.
It's not,
it's-
okay.
I
Just
eventually will probably,
expand this home?
yeah.
That would allow you to expand that home because then you've got impervious
Right,
nature
exactly.
and
I'd
lot
probably
coverage and
center
all
it
that.
more towards looking at the water
Sure.
type thing off the side here,
Very good.
instead of just kind of
I got
in
you.
that corner of the lot.
So the intent is not to build another home or anything on here, because if it is low-density residential, which I believe this is, then ultimately it would just be a matter of having more land connected to this, all facing Morris Drive.
And as long as she's not encroaching into Alford Street, which is what we litigated years ago, then that's up to her if she wants to combine them.
Yeah.
Yep, and when they did do the survey, I had them put the stakes so I could see, and Alfred Street is, the stop sign for Alfred Street's about 5 to 7 feet from the first stake that stakes my property, so.
I got you. Okay. So, other commissioners, what we have there is, I think originally the paperwork we had, we were looking at parcel A being combined with parcel B1. It would actually be parcel A with B1 and B2. And quite frankly, low-density residential area, there's nothing that would preclude her from doing that. Nothing in our rules.
Makes sense.
So what I'll do is I'll ask for a motion, please.
Make a motion, we allow the combination of these parcels.
All right, I have a motion on the floor to combine for Ms. Wilkins, or allow her to combine parcel A, B1, and B2. Do I have a second?
I second.
And again, that's just to recommend to the council.
Correct.
Recommend to the council,
Correct.
right, of course. All right, Madam Clerk, can we ask for a vote, please? I did get a second, right?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Okay, very good, thank you.
Commissioner Hall?
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Stryker?
Yes.
And Commissioner Reba?
Yes, please. And Ms. Wilkins, so the council members will get our advice, but we are an advisory committee, so we'll just ask that you do the same thing with them. And Kim, I don't know, would Ms. Wilkins be able to get in the next council meeting for this? Just a simple land combination.
Possibly.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I can check on that tomorrow if you recall.
Okay.
Ms. Wilkins, thanks again for your patience, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. So, item number 2. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your help here. Do we have a Mr. Farrell in the group? Mr. Farrell, how are you, sir? And if you don't mind, just once again, thank you for your patience, because I know you showed up last month as well. And once again, sorry we could not conduct or put together a special meeting. Thank you, sir. We have a quorum today, so we're cooking with gas. Will you just do us a favor and kind of give us a brief understanding of what you're doing with that land division?
Yes, and just having looked at the agenda right now, it looks like we're missing, there's 2 lots that we have, 2 parcels, 2 addresses that were submitted to be split. So 512 11th Street and 518 11th Street, both parcels that we own. And they kind of need to be split together because of the easement that we have on 518 11th Street, which will be the common drive. So, looking to split 512 into 2 parts. It will be 0.35 acres for each lot. And then the 2 future lots, the current parcel on 518, those lots will end up being 0.45 acres apiece. And maybe you guys have the information, just looking on my phone, I only saw 512 11.
Yeah, I only have 512.
So the package that we submitted, which looks just like that.
This was, we'd received this back in November. All of the commissioners had received it in November, so he might just be talking about the December meeting, probably just wasn't included. But this is what we
But it wasn't
received.
You guys-
published is my point. It wasn't on the notice, so no public can come and speak to it because it's not on the.
My memory
Notice.
was that on the last meeting's agenda, that it possibly said 512 and 518, and then, I don't know.
The only application that we have is 512.
Yeah, so the submission that was made had all of them. So, understanding that maybe because of public notice and otherwise, we might have to, do this again with 518, I would ask that we move forward with 512 and splitting it, because that will allow us to maintain our construction financing with the bank and some things, so,
Mr. Sloan, is there any issue with us not at least recommending to the council one way or the other on both of these?
There are two separate parcels, which it appears to be. Then you can take them one at a time,
Yeah.
one request at a time, so.
Why don't we do that? We'll handle them separately, but we'll do that right now. Mr. Farrell?
And then we can follow up and find out, I don't know where we missed, but like the package that you have there has all of the information.
Yes, sir.
The problem that I have, Mr. Chair, though, is in essence, he is splitting the parcels, two parcels into two each, I guess, and creating 4 parcels without platting. And I don't know, look, I haven't studied his deed, to know whether or not this description includes both addresses or not. But that would be the issue, Mr. Farrell, is that the Parker has a provision in its land development regulations that if you split property into more than 3 or more lots, you have to plat it. And so
Correct, but where this is 2 parcel IDs, we're just gonna split.
so if
each
they're 2
lot.
separate parcel
They are.
IDs, that's one thing.
Yes,
Um,
so it'll become
Yeah.
4 parcels out of 2.
So you're, okay, all right. So this deed that you've attached does not include the property at 518?
Well, there's 2 applications and
Sure.
2 separate deeds.
I have the application for 512, so my
Yeah,
question
so there was an application for 518 that also, that included that property as well. And then we have 2 separate surveys, one for each lot, with 2 legal descriptions.
And we, Mr. Sloan, we do have that because Mr. Farrell did come before us in
Okay,
last month.
okay.
And so,
I think we're good, it's just,
From a notice
it's
standpoint,
confusing
you can do
because
one,
the
yeah.
agenda doesn't.
do one and then do the other? Okay, very good. So just 2 separate votes on them?
Assuming they are 2 separate parcel ID numbers, then it would take a vote this month and a vote next month to,
Yeah, and the parcel IDs are listed.
Oh, so we'd have to separate it by, even if, we have to separate it by month, 2 months?
or
Or we
whenever
could
your
do it
next
both.
meeting is.
Yeah.
Is that
And
because of
it
the
just can't be done in this
advertisement?
meeting because the public hasn't received notice that
Yeah, so,
you're
so
gonna
they
consider.
they would have received notice for 5/12/11, which is
Right.
on the agenda today, so
Correct.
if we can get a recommendation to council for the split on that parcel, then we can.
If you're okay with moving that till,
Well,
doing one today and then,
Yeah,
and
I
then,
don't think we have a choice.
okay.
True.
So,
One question I do have is, it looks like, so on 11th Street, so this is gonna be, we're gonna segregate it, and then we're gonna have a parcel in back of it, and then you're gonna create an easement through that front parcel in order,
show you?
please do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is lot 1 and 2
Mhm.
are 512.
Mm-hmm,
Lot 4 and 3 are are 518.
mm-hmm.
There's a 20-foot common drive easement that all 4 will have access to.
I see.
There will be a private drive cul-de-sac here. And so we'll have 4 single-family homes facing inward toward the private drive.
I see, okay. So that'll be a permanent easement for all 4
Yes.
lots, okay.
and that's in the legal descriptions also.
Thank you, sir.
Uh,
And 512 will have lot 1 and lot 2 on it.
Correct.
And the city, if it's going to have to provide utilities in there, the city's gonna have to have some kind of easement also.
Yeah, and that 20-foot easement will work for utilities. I mean, the utility stub should all be private.
And I know you had a conversation with Tony, right?
Yeah,
Our
I met
Public
with-
Works,
with,
and our mayor,
Tony to
right.
discuss utilities,
Okay.
mostly stormwater.
right, right. And just for the other commissioners, there's a new Florida House Bill 799. It was effective June 26th of 2024. Even though this looks a little unorthodox, in order to put you know, take a parcel of land, put one in back of the other. There's nothing in the law that states that he can't do it.
Right.
And as long as so Tony wanted to meet with Mr. Farrell just to make sure that if this was a mistake, we were gonna try and save him money to correct it on the front side. But he does have a permanent easement on the plans that we're looking at. So which one, Mr. Farrell, are we deciding today? That would be lot 1 and 2?
Lot 1 and 2.
Lot 1 and 2? All right. Any questions, gentlemen?
So if we recommend to split it, we're recommending, I know the plan is for 5/18 to come next month, but for 5/12, for us to split 1 and 2, we potentially are splitting it without access until 5/18 is done, correct?
It looks to me like, Mr. Farrell, like even, so lot 1 and 2, it looks like that easement would be in place for lot 1 and 2 despite what happens next month, right?
No, I don't think it would work that way. I mean, yes, we could find a new path forward if,
Yeah.
let's say, there was a reason to recommend against splitting 5/18, because you could flag lot that, and I don't know that we would want to do that. Like, I'd probably come back, combine the parcels, and we would build one home. But, you know, the idea is that we build 4 lots around a cul-de-sac, create, you know, a little neighborhood feel,
Yeah.
bigger lots, a little bit bigger homes.
Just,
But,
go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair,
please.
the only way to get to parcel 2, to lot 2, is off of 11th Street, unless I'm missing something. And so, if you allowed the parcels split, the only way, if he were to sell lot 2, that person unrelated to 5/18, the only way to get there is that easement that we're talking about.
Yeah, you're not incorrect.
That we won't
Like,
have
the
until
right way would
5/18.
have been, we
Correct.
submit both together, which we did. Didn't make it to the agenda that way, so, you know, yeah, so it does put us in a, puts us in a bind, but it is what it is.
You still wanna do that?
Well, I'm fine if we split it, because my assumption is that, you know, there shouldn't be any issue with 5/18, but, you know, Mr. Sloan is right that we would have a different issue of access to a lot 2.
Yeah.
Or lot 1 and 2 would have to be part of a single home.
If for some reason something goes awry and lot 3 and 4 can't be split, or somehow it's decided it can't be, could a new easement be put in place?
Yeah.
You doing this through an express grant easement, or, no? Reservation easement?
I don't know what you're saying.
Different.
These are really fancy words.
That's how you legally grant that easement to be in place so that everybody would have access to it.
Well, not only whoever gets parcel 2, but the city has to have that access. The city has to have an
Yeah.
easement to even be able to service that lot.
Yeah, I agreed.
It
But
may
that
a
would be re-
private. I
yeah.
understand
I
you're
would
saying
have
it's a
to ask
private.
the survey company, and there, one of the pages in there is the legal description and easement language, for that. So I would have to refer to the surveyor.
We're willing to go ahead and vote on lot 1 and 2 today, recognizing what it is. But here's the benefit of it. This is an advisory group. If for some reason, it would have to go to council for final approval anyway. So we could at least get that moving, either approval, conditional approval, or denial, and then have you come back for the second one, lot 3 and 4, next month, knowing that no matter what we say, it still has to go through the council members. And if for some reason you choose to withdraw that, then you'd still have that option.
Yeah.
So it's up to you.
Yeah, I would say let's do that. Let's keep
Okay.
it moving forward. There are other things, you know,
Okay.
for a little bit of money that we could do to reverse it, you know. We
Okay.
could come back here and have to do a combination, or, you combine parcels, and
So-
we can fix it if we need to.
So
Okay.
that any approval from the city standpoint, any recommendation would have to include a recommendation that, in order for the split to occur, that they would have to grant the city an easement for utilities and access to be able to service that lot.
And and Mr. Farrell did speak to Tony specifically about that, and I would imagine that meeting went in your favor. Wasn't there?
Yeah, we're waiting for some feedback on the drainage, on the stormwater planning.
Okay.
But, yeah, we should be.
Okay. Well, let me just give, so to our commissioners, Section 704 in the Florida Code identifies that Mr. Farrell absolutely has the right to do this if he chooses. In order for that easement to be in place, he would probably have to conduct either this express grant easement or the reservation easement, which either can be done. It's comes back to common law, Old English common law. But he absolutely has the right to do this. And then he still has options, so no matter how we vote next month, he would have the option to remove it from the council members if for some reason that, derailed the situation. So he's asking for us to move forward on making a decision about Lot 1 and Lot 2. I'll ask for a motion, please.
I make a motion to recommend it to the council.
Okay? We have a motion
I'll
to
second.
recommend.
I'll second.
We have a second. Madam Clerk, can we get a vote, please?
Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Commissioner Striker?
Yes.
And Commissioner Reagan?
Yes, and Mr. Farrell, sorry for that, having to make this more complex than it was, but Mr. Sloan's exactly right. We need to make sure that we give the public adequate notice when we do these kinds of things, so we'll tackle that next month. Okay, thank you, sir, appreciate it. All right, very good. We're gonna get on to item 3. Is it Mr. Lozada? Mr. Lozada, if you don't mind kind of telling us what your project is, sir, we'd sure appreciate it.
I have a commercial property. It's a 212 soda. It's A and B and S that I want to combine both of them. This property is over where the Winn-Dixie supermarket is. At this moment, I want to combine that property as well because for security reason, right now there's people living on the jungle.
Yeah.
This side.
Yeah.
So I want to fence everything and also, can I address to you, sir?
Yes,
I have
please,
some pictures here.
please.
So there's neighbors walking dogs over there.
These, oh, I got you. Okay, very good. This is what it looks like, Mr. Sloan, right here.
He has a bathroom.
So he's wanting to combine this to this.
What's in the middle between the two?
Concrete stoop.
There it is.
Please.
So right now, this is the property. This is here. I have a property, 2 buildings, where it's one building with 2 offices. Let's put it that way.
This is
And then
commercial.
this is the
here, right?
backyard, basically.
So is that on this survey, these 2 lots?
Yes, it's 2 lots.
All right. And so what are you asking to do now?
So I want to combine both of them because in the end I want to do
Oops, sorry, don't worry about that. They're kind
It's approved.
Hey, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Hey, we got a decorated committee.
Nobody reported.
Oh, hey, listen, I was thinking of retiring anyway. Mr. Lozada, that's okay, no worries, sir.
So right now, if you see all these pictures, garbage going to my
Yes.
property, people throwing stuff.
So is all this in the middle between the 2 buildings? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, this is the concrete building and this is the property, right? This is the backyard of this one and this is the second lot. I want to combine both of them because all the garbage come from here. People throw stuff here. There's a carpet here.
You want to be able to fence it in or
Mhm,
something?
Yes. So they people throw a carpet. This is the poop.
Yeah. Oh, so they're
from the-
they're dumping on it,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is like garbage.
Got it.
This is a bag of clothes that was there,
Yeah.
and socks and everything. So that's the reason why I want to combine.
Kim, I'm sorry, hon, you just happen to be likely to answer this better than anybody else. Is that property on Tyndall Parkway, is that commercial? Or it's commercial?
It is.
Okay, okay. Okay. So what we're looking at here is, and there's, okay, so commercial, general commercial zoned. And it looks like he wants to, it looks like he's got a 52.2 foot by 135 foot, which I think they're calling Lot 3, combining it to the first lot. Mr. Sloan, I don't see any reason that this couldn't be done. I mean, there's no rules in our land development rules that would prevent that. It's a commercial area. He's wanting to do it so he could
If
combine
he
it.
owns both lots now, why couldn't he just put an overall fence up anyway? Why does he have to combine the lots?
Based on, Randy, he told me because the second lot is a vacant lot, I have to resubmit paperwork to get like an exception.
Oh, so if he owns the whole property, then,
Then
yeah, he's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because there's land development rules that prevent certain structures from being put on vacant lots. That's exactly right. All right. I don't see an issue with it, so I'll just ask for a motion, please.
Make a motion that we recommend the combination of these lots to the commission.
I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we get a vote, please?
Absolutely. Commissioner Hall.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Merritt,
Yes.
Commissioner Stricker,
Yes.
and Commissioner Reagan.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Lozada, thank you, sir. Now, it does have to go to the council meetings. I would contact City Hall tomorrow to see if you can get on the very next council meeting. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be. A couple of Tuesdays from now, perhaps?
Next Tuesday.
Very good. Very good. And Mr. Lozada, thanks for trying to clean up Parker. I hate the fact that people are dumping on your property. That's just foul. That's okay. So if we call you the Grinch, just don't take it personally. Thank you, sir. All right. And do we have Mr. Bianca from the Marriott Group? Mr. Bianca, how are you, sir? And we thank you for a very complete, detailed plans on what it is that your corporation and your organization is trying to do. We've gotten an opportunity to review it, but we do have some questions if you don't mind. But if it's possible, for the benefit of the audience, could you sort of give us all kind of a general understanding of what you're attempting to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
So we're a real estate development company out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we are in the process of rolling out a program of four-story wood frame hotels flagged by the major brands Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Choice, and we are looking at putting up a Marriott Studio Res, which is their newest mid-scale brand, all suites hotel at 938 South Tyndall Parkway.
Okay.
It consists of 124 guest rooms with some limited amenity space, 126 parking stalls. We're doing a short or a small off-site improvement to northbound Tyndall Parkway, adding a left turn in to our property, as well as on-site stormwater management. So
Very good.
Hoping with our recommendation for approval tonight and approval with City Council, we could be in a position to break ground probably second quarter of 2025.
Very nice. A couple of things that citizens of Parker are very concerned with, and also the council members and commissioners, are things like stormwater, but also trees. And when I looked at your plans, it looks like you're putting a lot of foliage in, which I would think people would really appreciate and embrace. Would you mind telling them about what that's going to look like around the perimeter of that building?
Certainly. I'm going to refer to my drawings here so I don't
Sure.
misspeak too much, but our intent with this type of property is to have, is to enhance, the local landscape with, typical trees and shrubbery, that comply to the local code minimums, as well as any recommendations or added features that might, be beneficial to the property. We do have, so we have a large stormwater area that surrounds two parts of basically two sides of our parking lot on the southeast side. So we typically perimeter those with trees as well as shrubs just to kind of shield that area from guest view. We also have fencing in that area. And then between us and on the north side of our property, which is there's a church to the north side of us, we also have screening with trees and shrubbery based on your Parker's code requirements for landscaping buffer
In the
within
CRA,
20
yes, sir.
feet of the property.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in a commercial area, but it's also in a community redevelopment area. So City of Parker generally sees those as sort of what we want to be the crown jewel. But I looked at your landscape plan, and it looks like you've got many, many, many trees, deciduous trees, palm trees, all kinds of other plants. And being a Marriott guy myself, in terms of staying at that hotel chain, they usually are exceptionally well landscaped.
Yes.
But it looked to me like you're putting in 40, 50 trees, maybe even more. And I just felt like the audience members might want to hear that, because the plans we looked at looked like there were a dozen or so palm trees right at the entrance coming off of Tyndall. Looked like there might have been, surrounding the entire perimeter, another 40 or 50 trees of the deciduous variety, and then all kinds of other plants and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's in this part of the country especially, we really feel that a robust landscaping plan is important to the, just to the appearance, the curb appeal of the hotel, ties into, just the coastal feel of where we're located, as well as, just, being a new brand for a new flag for Marriott. We're trying to be, we're the pioneers of this brand, us and a couple other developers in the country right now, and so what we're really trying to do is make a statement with this brand as far as, the feel, the look, and that it's, it is upscale. It does add, to the areas that we are putting these properties in. So
Is that new brand the Studio Residence?
that is a Studio
Okay.
Res, yes.
Okay.
That's Marriott's brand. So
Very
they
good.
went through a couple of different naming options before ultimately landing on that earlier this year.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Considering 5 years ago, we lost all of our trees, that's a big plus.
A couple of questions I might, just that are, and some of these may have already been resolved, and I suspect they have been, but having reviewed our engineering report, I just have to do our due diligence here real fast. So it looked to me like fire protection plans with regard, has that been completed yet? It looks to me like you're going to sprinkle the whole building and put standpipes in.
Yes, we are going to do that. So answer to your first part, the fire protection design has not been completed. It has not been started yet. Our logic there is we're trying to get through the planning approval, city council approval, and then we'll engage with our designer and engineers to do a full site adaptation of the property. But so to answer your second part of your question, yes, it's a full 13 fire suppression system with full standpipes in either stairwell.
NFPA 13?
NFPA 13.
Good
yes.
deal. Okay. And did you guys acquire all of the land to now have it be at that 2.89 acres as well?
That is correct.
Okay.
We haven't acquired it yet. We close tentatively 12/31 is what we're looking at
And the-
right now. But yes, 2.9 acres, total disturbed area is just over 3, as we're doing some work to give some emergency outfall to our adjacent property owners.
And that was key, because the engineers originally had some concerns over actual coverage and then impervious nature of the area. So having that extra land brings us exactly where we need to be, including the impervious surface ratio, ISR.
Yes.
So we're within the spec there that's necessary for the city of Parker.
Yep.
So, excellent,
We
very
did go
good.
through several iterations to try to resolve that
So,
and make that work. So-
With that purchase, will there still be a necessity for an easement, or,
Yeah, we're entering into a private easement agreement with the adjacent property owner, which we have drafted, and I think it's been executed and being held in escrow until closing.
okay,
That will allow us to go, it includes a temporary construction easement for us to go onto their property, and then a permanent maintenance easement for either party to come on and maintain that emergency outflow structure into our pond.
okay, so will the pond be entirely on your property, or
Pond
will
will be
will it be
entirely on
shared
our
with the
property.
Move It Storage?
No, it'll be entirely on our property.
Okay, very good.
At one point, we had discussed maybe we would have it encroach onto their property. That seemed to get too complicated, so we
You just
went
bought
ahead and
it.
decided to
Buy
buy a
it.
little additional
Excellent.
land and
Very
go
good.
on ours.
And same thing for the sign easement, that's been resolved. Will there still need to be an easement for the sign? Or,
To be quite frank, I don't know if that's been resolved or not. That issue is not ringing a bell with me.
it was just one of the questions put forth by our engineering staff, so, looked like a small detail, and it wouldn't pass muster anyway unless it was resolved, so
Yeah.
I get that.
Our typical intent with this type of product is once we get our site adaptation plans, at about 50-60%, where we have a check set to review, we send that out to one of our signage vendors. They'll start doing the code research and letting us know what we can and can't do, what kind of easements if we need them, what kind of permits are necessary, et cetera, et cetera. So it's quite possible that we just haven't specifically begun to address any of those sign issues yet.
The one issue that I know that our engineer was specifically concerned with was the connection to the FDOT storm on the south, I think it was the south east side.
Southeast side.
Has that been
Yeah.
resolved?
Yeah, so according to what our drawings show, that, we have an outfall from our storm pond on the southeast side of the property that will tie into an FDOT manhole, which is, I believe, in the right of way. I was looking at that just a little bit earlier. I know there were a couple of comments, even though they did recommend us for this meeting, that our civil engineer was tying up due to stormwater. Honestly, they were technical to the point I couldn't even begin to describe.
No worries, no worries.
But,
It was
I
just,
think-
the engineer had put it as part of, and Kevin, I just making sure, sanity check with you, that was one of the key concerns, right?
That's right.
Is where that went to the FDOT
Yes.
line there, okay. Okay, very good.
Yeah, so basically where that got left is it sounds like our engineers, had a couple of comments they addressed on the 6th, and then they have a couple of comments that went back in, on the 9th, but that was to the.
And I saw the email where they had addressed FDOT, and the permit lady, what was her name, Lisa Ward, I think. Anyway, I saw those emails. I just hadn't known, it wasn't clear to us whether or not it had been fully resolved.
To the best of my knowledge, it is fully resolved. If not, I'm sure they're working through a resolution. I mean, it's a pretty small detail at this point where we're calling out on our drawings exactly where we're passing through and tying into that manhole.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, and kind of engineering-like stuff, but for a lot of people in the audience, this may be something you want to hear. Due to the type of soil that's there, one of the things we look at are what they call curve numbers, and that has to do with runoff. And believe it or not, with this development in place, those numbers get better. And I'm not sure exactly how you're doing it, except that the reports we saw showed that because you're venting a lot of it to the pond, some of it to the FDOT, and some of it to the south, and a Bay County stormwater line, that only one of the curve numbers went up. Two of them stayed the same, and two of them got better. That's really a benefit to the city, because it means less stormwater coming from that property, even if we left it alone.
Right.
So, and those are certified engineer reports after so they do the pre and then the post analysis. So that was very beneficial.
Yeah.
I'd like to take credit for that, but I can't. The engineers did all the thinking on that, but.
Now, the other thing that people may be concerned with is traffic. 124, rooms. And I know that you guys did a traffic analysis. It's over there on the table. We've perused it. Are you aware of some of the details there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
am aware of some of those details. Just broad strokes. When we initially started talking to the DOT about the project, they were concerned with the traffic count. We were able to get a traffic study done, and they were they lessened their requirements of the hotel based on the information that we were able to provide them. But as a result of that TIA, they've recommended and we're happy to do it to put that left turn lane in on northbound Tyndall Parkway for access and to not impede that northbound traffic.
Yeah, so coming from Tyndall, there will be a 300-foot lane there to turn left now, is that right?
Yeah.
And then, but it was not necessary coming from the other direction. I think I
That's
saw that
correct. And we
comment.
had initially looked and discussed whether or not that needed to happen. Our hope was that we did not need to do that, and knowing what we know about this type of property, we didn't expect the traffic counts to warrant that, and ultimately that was we weren't required to add that to the southbound.
And it looks like the level of service isn't going to be impacted virtually at all. They said it's going to be best case scenario A, worst case scenario D, and we just, in our own concurrency rules, we put in that it has to be better than D. So, and all of those, it looked okay. Okay. Any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, one thing that kind of threw me, you're hooking to the sewer in Callaway and not in Parker.
Yeah, I wish I could talk at greater detail as to why that decision was made, but our understanding was based on the location of where our utilities are actually, our easiest path of connection to stay on our property was to
Yeah.
connect to that sanitary that's managed by Callaway. And that really, honestly, that was a recommendation from the due diligence that our civil engineer made, and we agreed that we want to keep those runs as short and as straightforward as possible.
How does that impact Parker, or does it?
Well, it does, because obviously Parker would not be getting the sewer revenue
Correct.
from that. So, I'm glad you pointed that out. We hadn't gotten to that issue from the engineer's standpoint because she wasn't looking at that necessarily.
Right.
But that is an issue from Parker's standpoint. It's not getting and I don't know where their water hookup is either. If their water hookup is in Parker, then
Water would be Parker.
Then I don't know, but I'd certainly want to talk to Tony and find out,
Yeah.
what could be done to facilitate a sewer hookup.
And does Parker get the toilet tax?
Well, because it would be going to Callaway, the sewer, we'd have to figure out how to separate out the water and sewer billing if that's done.
Right.
We'd have to have probably an agreement with Callaway
Yeah.
to facilitate sewer going into their system. I'm kind of surprised given the location.
Mr. Bianca, I think your agreement with Callaway is already in place. There was an email in one of those documents over there that indicated that the Public Works of Callaway approved it. But the water would be coming from us, because they specifically tie into our 8-inch line right off of 98.
Right, the only
That is
place
true,
that I'm
yes.
aware of that Parker has properties going into Callaway sewer is over here.
Yeah, that's right where it's going. Yeah. That's
in a
exactly where it is.
residential subdivision, but I don't know, that'll be policy issue for the council.
I've got a speculation that, I know we wanted to not use doghouse connections. And I think your engineer had recommended a doghouse connection into our sewer line. And sometimes those are really hard to maintain. So it's possible that our public works guy said no to that. And that may be why you're sending the sewage over to Callaway. But I know that they are getting the water from us, and I know that the Callaway has been consulted, and their public works director has agreed to take the sewage
But
that
there
way.
needs to be an agreement between us and Callaway,
Yeah,
because it would be
yeah,
a totally new connection that has not existed
yeah, before.
before,
Yeah.
other than the ones, the few houses that were there
Yeah,
many, many, many years ago, probably before the LDR was even in place.
gotcha.
So, I think Tony needs to be looped in, Mr. Chair, on this.
Yeah. I think what we could do is, because Tony is aware of what's going on, he's been all over this. This is, these guys have been working with, with City Hall for, back to June, I think, maybe even sooner than that.
Yeah, it was.
And and I've had conversations with Tony about it, so I think perhaps what we could do, just so that we kind of move this to that platitude, might be to, remember, we have the option to put a approval in place with conditions. And the approval with conditions could be that our public works person is in agreement with that piece of it, unless something else can be worked out.
Well, and the council, because it's a
Yeah,
policy
and
decision.
absolutely, absolutely.
So.
You okay with that, though,
That
a
could be
conditional
part of your
approval?
recommendation
Okay.
that it would have to be approved by the council and the Public Works
Public
Director
Works.
for the sewer to go to Callaway.
Yeah.
And we'd have to have an agreement with Callaway on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, exactly, so the city of Parker would have to have an agreement with Cal, okay.
I think we need to clean it up and have something where we all understand that that's what's gonna happen, because, like I say, the few houses that
Yeah.
connected years ago,
Yeah.
that caused some
did.
significant concerns over time
Okay.
with how that was playing into,
Yeah.
to their sewer and ours. So they kinda got connected, and we found out about it a long time later.
Yeah, I got you.
But I think that problem was created because maybe they didn't realize what city they were actually in.
Go into, yeah. So I guess, so we have three options: denial, approval, approval with conditions. And the approval with conditions could be stated in a way that, so that our Public Works Director and our council members agree with the utilities connections, whether it be water or sewer. And I believe our guy has already been informed, I know he's been informed of what you're trying to do, because I know he looked at that doghouse connection, and I suspect, although I didn't talk to him about that he probably had some heartburn with that. But, so we could certainly put that motion out there as a conditional approval based on Public Works and council members. That way this gentleman could move it to the
Right.
council members
agree.
and
I agree.
bone up on whatever he needs to deal with in order to get it moving through the council member.
Yeah.
You okay with that? I'll ask for a motion in that regard, unless, Mr. Bianca, you wanted to state anything additional. Did anything else you
Nothing
wanted?
further, no.
Very good,
No,
very
thank
good,
you.
very good. So what I'll do is I'll ask for a motion, either way, approval, denial, or approval with conditions.
I'll make a recommendation for approval to the, or send to the council for approval with the conditions of the Public Works and the council members agreeing to the Callaway sewer connection.
Good, and if you'll copy that exactly, that it's really about a motion for conditional approval based on our Public Works Director and the council members understanding and approving what's going on with utilities connections. Okay, very good. And then I'll ask for a second.
I'll second it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Merritt. I'll ask for a vote then.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt,
Yes.
Commissioner Stryker,
Yes.
Chairman Reagan.
Yes. And thanks for improving our city. We sure appreciate it, Mr. Bianca. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for that tutelage there.
So much
Mr.
more
Sloan?
discussion, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I previously mentioned, we're going to move to a point now where this is going to be a public hearing. So I'll ask the applicant for the Seven Brew Coffee to come forward. And we are going to have our clerk swear you in. And then if anybody wishes to speak towards this regard or ask questions, you also will be sworn in.
And
So-
before you start, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you need to have a disclosure among the commissioners here, whether there have been any communications between the commissioners and the applicant since the filing of the variance request.
I will ask if any of these commissioners have had direct communications with the filers regarding this variance.
No.
No, no, no. Do we have to take a vote on that?
No.
Or is it just open
No,
vote?
just a
Okay.
disclosure.
Very
yes,
good.
no.
So gentlemen, I'll ask you to raise your right hand. Ingrid, if you don't mind.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this public hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Outstanding. Thank you, gentlemen. You mind kind of telling us what we're doing here?
That'd be great. I'll start. My name is Drew Deegan. I represent Seven Crew Enterprises, who's the franchisee and operator of the proposed Seven Brew. Mason Sullivan. More decoration. Mason Sullivan is a CPA. He's our civil engineer. I thought it might be beneficial, since this will be the first Seven Brew within the city of Parker, just to give a very high-level intro
Please.
to who we are, and then I'll pass over to Mason
Oh,
Sullivan.
absolutely.
for site-specific
Please do.
info on the site plan.
Thank
So,
you.
Seven Brew is a relatively new coffee franchise. It was started in 2017. The first stores were opened in Lubbock, Texas, as well as Melbourne, Florida.
Mhm.
Today, there are 302 stands nationwide. About 15 of those are in Florida. We at Seven Crew Enterprises, again, we're a franchisee. We're working to infill the Florida market. Our target markets are the southwest coast as well as the panhandle here. So hopefully, you'll start seeing some more stands here soon. So when you enter Seven Brew, we're all about not only the delicious coffee beverages, but really bring a positive and great customer experience. So customers who enter a Seven Brew cider are greeted by our texters, who are employees who are in the drive-through lanes, taking orders from customers and of course answering any questions they might have. And then as those customers pull forward to the service doors, as long as weather permits, the doors will be wide open. They can hear a little music playing in the store. They can see the baristas making their coffee. We really pride ourselves on, the customer living a part of that experience and feeling like they're almost a part of the process. Not only does Seven Brew like to engage with the customers, but we like to, also engage with the community. We don't want to just be a store sitting on a corner of a major intersection. We want to be a part of the community. So
Outstanding.
with every store that's open, there is a $10,000 donation made to a national charity, and then we also like to choose a local charity and give a contribution to that as well.
Very nice.
We also try to engage however we can with any local schools or youth programs. Really just we like to find any opportunity we can to engage and connect with the community, and that is also included giving 50% discounts to active military members and first responders and people in uniform. So aside from engaging that way, there's also the economic impact that we know we can make a positive impact for the city. A store like this, we usually provide 45 to 60 permanent part-time jobs for the store, and that also on top of that was usually around 25 to 30 temporary construction jobs. And all of that is on top of the yearly tax revenue that a store like this usually brings to a market like this, and that's usually around $100,000 yearly. So with that being said, I'll definitely be available for any questions that you guys have on the Seven Brew.
We have a process here as well, and Mr. Sloan is our attorney, so that we could get this component out of the way. You all have answered the variance application or variance detail. So what we're going to do is just kind of go down through this first, and then we'll have some questions after that if you're all right with that. So
Remember, Mr. Chair, they have the burden.
Yes.
Proved by clear and convincing evidence of the entitlement or the application, why it should be granted.
Absolutely, absolutely. So these are the 7 questions that both the commissioners as well as the council members will go through. So I'll read them to you and just kind of have you give us your detail, okay? It says there's a specific hardship affecting the development of the property resulting from the strict application of the provisions of these regulations. You answered yes, and would you mind giving us the detail on some of that in terms of why that was yes?
Yeah, I'll take it, Mayor. My name is Mason.
Hey, Mason.
I'm a CPH engineering here on behalf of OVO 910 LLC and Seven Brew. To answer your question, the lot size for proposing Seven Brew is only 0.39 acres, so you're very limited to the space that we can provide. Luckily, Seven Brew is a smaller building. The main building being about 510 square feet, and then the storage building being around 274 square feet. But due to parking requirements and code requirements, and being able to have the drive-through lanes and bypass lanes, where like I said, we're restricted on what all we can provide.
Gotcha. So, and what you, okay, very good, very good. So building, the size of the lot is really impeding, is the hardship essentially?
Yes.
Okay, very good. The second one is the hardship is not a result of the actions of the owner and is not based solely on a desire to reduce development costs. And you answered the affirmative to that.
Yes. So pretty much the same reasoning behind that. Just the restriction of the parcel size.
Size of the parcel, very good. All right, and then item 3 is the proposed variance is necessary to preserve a substantial property right where such property is generally available to other property owners of adjacent or nearby properties or other properties in the land use category. And you answered affirmative to that as well.
Yes. So this is the zone, or the parcel is zoned general commercial, and by the size of the site, due to the proposed development, so. Well, just to kind of circle back, so there's kind of 2 items on the table here. You got 10-foot building separation and impervious surface.
Right, right.
So with this property, which we can't meet the impervious surface ratio in general, but also, the 10-foot building separation also depletes what we can meet. So with that, just by the nature of the proposed development, and the limited size of the parcel, we're restricted to what we can provide.
Very good. All right. And then, let's see. The proposed variance will not materially increase congestion on surrounding streets, increase the danger of fire or other hazards, or otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. And you answered the affirmative to that as well.
Yes. The proposed variance will be compatible, if approved, to the adjacent and nearby properties. There won't be any increase.
It's really just about increase. And I think, wasn't there what was there before, Terry?
Church's Fried Chicken.
Okay, so your traffic may be real darn similar, right? Yeah, right.
I don't think,
Better access points.
Better access points?
I don't
Okay.
think the variance is gonna affect
Yeah,
that, though, right? Is that
yeah.
what we're asking, the variance asked?
It was, yeah, just not materially increased congestion in surrounding streets, yeah. Then item,
I'm sorry, if I may.
Please.
Just to add a positive note to, the variance, the variance specifically for the impervious surface ratio. I don't believe that the city has a requirement that we have a bypass lane. However, it's basically a corporate standard so that we do have good circulation and we can avoid, any congestion. So the variance kind of contributes to us to be able to avoid creating, congestion. It actually helps that problem.
and Terry's really right on. It was more specific to the 10-foot separation of the building and then also the ISR, which is just, I think, just breached by .2. Is that what the?
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
With the impervious papers.
Yeah, because you use the pavers, that's right. And then item 5 was the proposed variance will be compatible with adjacent and nearby development and will not alter the essential character of the land use district.
Yes, sir. It would not. It's like I said, it's zone commercial as well as the adjacent property to the west and to the south of it, which is the Winn-Dixie and the bank.
Very good. And the effect of the proposed variance is consistent with the purposes of the regulation. You answered affirmative.
Yes, sir. Other than, you know, these two items we're here for the, requesting the variance, all other LDR requirements that we meet.
Very good. And item 7 is the effect of the proposed variance is consistent with the comprehensive plan. You answered affirmative.
Yes, sir, kind of the same thing, you know, as far as the previous question, we, you know, meet what the requirements are provided by the zoning and, comprehensive plan.
Very good. Very good.
Now, this parcel, I think, is in the, CRA.
Is it in the, yeah, it goes right up to Cherry Street, is that right?
It goes all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, community redevelopment area, it's pretty much the same thing as what the Marriott was talking about. There are certain requirements for there, that particular area, when you're bringing a building, we want them to be nice buildings. We want them to be unique and be consistent with the area and beautify areas. We also ask people, and by the way, they're doing that by, they're using pavers in their parking lot and things of that nature. And those are the kinds of things. You're in a sub-area 3, I think, is that right, gentlemen? Sub-area 3 of the CRA? I think so too, yeah. And, yes, yeah,
that right?
3, I think I think it's right. So, what Mr. Sloan was just talking about is the style of the building that you essentially put there. It's got to sort of enhance the area, and just ask that you go ahead and read what that is in the land development rules, because it talks about consistent colors and like pavers, which I know you're already doing, and then certain foliage and things in order to enhance the area.
This is the first time we've been to 2 rounds of submittals and haven't been told that it was in the CRA.
2 rounds of submittals? Oh, okay.
It's the first time I've been.
I gotta get you on
See,
the
that's
plan.
that's why he's the highest paid guy in the room.
Right.
Gentlemen, any questions for these fellows?
I looked at pictures of the establishment, and it's a nice looking drive-through coffee place. I think it will definitely enhance that area more than Church's Chicken did before and after the hurricane. Church's Chicken. I think it looks good.
I had chuckle when it says it'd be compatible to the adjacent developments. It's gonna be a lot better than the adjacent.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot better, yeah. Yep. Very good. So what we're dealing with here are two concerns. One of them is that they have the main building, and you guys correct me if I steer wrong. You got the main building, which is about 510 square feet, and then it looks like you've got a cooler and a storage area that's just going to be located about 5 feet from that primary building. And neither of these are going to be dwellings, right? These are both going to be businesses. One's going to be sort of a cooler and a storage area, and the other one's going to be where you service your customers out of. And then it looks like you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parking lots, and then 1 parking spaces, along with a handicap parking space. Is that right? 6? Okay. And I think you've been in communication with Kevin about, so you're actually exceeding the requirement there, because you got 510 feet, and the land development rules do allow for a cash and carry or a drive-through business to be half of what the original recommendation is. I think you really only needed 3, so you're exceeding the requirement by putting in 6. And by putting in the, so we have two standards for impervious area. The 2 standards, and sometimes they get confused. So one of them is lot coverage, and based on the size of the lot, the first one is that the buildings can't cover more than, building and concrete and everything that you put in can't cover more than 90%. And I think you're below that on that one, right? The second one is impervious surface ratio, and that's where you could have lot coverage, but if you do things like put in decks or pavers, water seeps in, so you don't use the same coefficient. So you have taken it, gotten it all the way down to, originally it was 0.87, but when you put the pavers in, you took it down to 0.72,
So
right?
we put the pavers in, yes, and it brought it down, but we also decreased width of one of the bypass lanes to the east and also the drive-through, lane.
Decreased it.
west. We decreased the size.
Very
of
good.
it. Yes, sir. Just to
Okay.
try to get, to get as close as possible as we could.
Okay, so we're talking about .72 versus .7. Okay, so that's one of the variances. And then the second one would be in regard to building separation. My take on this is this. Whenever you go to the Florida building codes, whenever they talk about that 10-foot, which they use consistently there, it's always about dwellings. It's always about where people are going to be living. It's not about businesses and coolers or things of that nature. So just if you, I think that's in section, wrote it down here somewhere, 63 of the Florida building codes in terms of where you see the separation. And I think you found that there as well.
Yes.
It's about fighting fires and about impervious area, because they want the moisture to seep into the ground, and they want to be able to get a fire hose in and save the place if it starts to burn down. This has very, very good access all the way around. So my take on it is just that. Neither one of these are actually dwellings. And the other take on it is that they originally, the plans that were originally submitted had a .87, and they worked very hard in order to get it to .72 by going to pavers in the parking lot, which is consistent with what we're looking for in a CRA. And then they also lessened, is that lane 2, you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lane 2 and the bypass lane on the east side of it.
And there you go.
Because we didn't want to bring the east side down, no more than, 2 to 11 feet, so, it could be unsafe.
Very good. So, that's actually also that Florida Building Codes, that's also Chapter 5. It talks about, that 10-foot being related to dwellings. So what I'll ask for, if anybody has any additional questions, what I will ask the audience at this time, if anybody in the audience has any, if you felt, and you guys can stay right there if you'd like. Does anybody from the audience have any comments or questions? Very good. Okay. Well, then I'll ask for a motion either to deny the variance, to approve the variance, or approve with conditions.
I make a motion to approve the variance.
Both, right?
Yes.
Very good. I'll ask for a second.
I second.
Very good. Madam Clerk, can we get a vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
and Commissioner Merritt,
Yes.
Commissioner Stryker,
Yes.
and Chairman Rader.
Yes, and gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate all the detail you provided us and for working really hard in order to meet the actual requirements, but you got darn close on both of them, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. You'll probably ought to call City Hall tomorrow, either talk to the young lady who just left, or, I'm sorry, our new clerk, and because she's witnessed everything we just said here, see if you can get on the docket to get before council members in order to essentially tell them the same thing, okay?
So with this hearings, then we have to go prior to the council as well?
Yes, we are an advisory committee. We're the nuts and bolts guys, the techno nerds that wean through all the data. And then the council members are the people who take the detail that we provide them and then make a final they're what's referred to as the governing body of the city, and that will be necessary to move forward.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
And,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry if it was already said, but do you know what the date would be for the next hearing we'd be eligible to?
I asked for the people from the Marriott. I think she said next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. Gentlemen, thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Commissioners.
Very good. Guys, because this meeting's already gone long, I'm going to just kind of go to the last piece here, which is the completion. We left off on section 10, which essentially just left us with 8 pages remaining. I know you all, and Terry has identified that he has been through these pages. and have identified that there are, and Terry, don't let me
No, that's,
say anything
I had,
that's
I had
wrong.
0 marks in those pages.
Absolutely 0 marks in the last 8 pages. I'd sent an email to Mr. Sloan. You probably got that. Those are the 10 changes that we had prior recommended. So ultimately, what we're saying is that the last 8 pages do not require anything on our part, because it's pretty much about fish and school requirements. And then the only other thing would be that we've got these black and white maps here, which are a little hard to decipher, but I know that Mr. Sloan keeps these up to date. And this is about your community, where the community redevelopment, that hasn't changed. Future land use has not changed, other than some of the districts that we've changed, and I believe that Mr. Sloan has submitted that to the state for certain things, certain areas that have gone from like MU1, MU2 to commercial or what have you, and then the soils certainly haven't changed. So those are the map pieces, essentially, is what I'm saying. And I know the wetlands has not changed. And then the last one would be the coastal high hazard area. That may have changed because of the latest FEMA firm map that came out. I don't know if it has or not. But Mr. Sloan, I guess what we're saying is that the last 8 pages of print have no conflicts with the LDR. Just the 10 that you already received an email from me, and then the 10 that I just handed you here. The only thing that I might be concerned about is the coastal high hazard area. I don't know if FEMA would have changed that, but possible, because
The county is the one that oversees that, and so I would have to contact the county to see
okay.
if they have made a change to that map.
Very good. So I think what I'm going to do is ask our clerk to take a vote about whether or not you're all happy with or in agreement with the the first sessions that we've had to make the changes, so we could put the comprehensive plan to bed for another year.
Thank you.
So I'll ask for a vote, a motion to that the changes we are recommended to Mr. Sloan that he makes be sent along to the council members for their review and final approval, and then we don't have to visit this bloody thing for another year unless we change another future land use.
Well, and keep in mind, Mr. Chair, any changes to the comprehensive plan requires an ordinance. So, depending on when the council wants to enact these changes, if they want to enact all or a part of these changes, or whether or not they want to do it as a part of a different process.
Yes.
That would be up in the air. But the fact that you've identified these and that they're now available for the council, that's an important step. So.
And it's a council requirement that we review it annually for conflicts or changes, recommended changes. So I guess where I'm at is we've done our part, and then
Ball's in their court.
It ball's in their court to determine whether or not they agree with us or not, or to partially agree, and then make those. I'm sure they'll inform Mr. Sloan and his law firm to go to the state and make those appropriate changes, whatever they might be. So I'll ask for a vote if you're okay with the changes we've made, and that we then send it along to Mr. Sloan and the council members for their review.
I make the motion that we send it to the council for their perusal.
Very good. Can I get a second,
I'll
please?
second it for Terry.
Very good. Very good. And can I get a vote, please?
Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Commissioner Stryker?
Yes.
And Chair Reagan?
Yes, and thank you all for your hard work on that. And let me just say, I'm happy as a clam that we got a great new planner and a terrific new clerk. Give her a couple of days to kind of fall into the job before we put too much pressure on her, because today is literally her first day.
Maybe 3.
And
Maybe 3.
2.5.
Terry, I'll ask you, do you have anything that you want to bring up before the group?
Yeah, nothing right now.
Very good. Kevin, do you have anything you want to say or bring up before the group that you would like to talk about? Okay.
No, sir.
Thank you
Thank
for all your input. You've been.
Thank you.
This guy here has been on a very, very steep learning curve, and he's just handled it like like nobody I've seen. So great background. And Ingrid, anything for the group? You've got good experience in your background too, having come from St. Joe, so we're looking forward to great things. Mr. Sloan, anything that you'd like to tell us? Mr. Merritt, anything you'd like to share?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh,
There you
very
go. Merry
nice.
Christmas.
Mr. Hall, anything from you, sir?
Good to go.
Very good. We're going to shut the meeting down. Merry Christmas, everybody.